What's up, guys? James here, and today I'm going to be reviewing an EP and starting off a little, I guess, pseudo discography review of one of my favorite bands who are going to be releasing at the end of the month. And that band is Hybrid, and as you can tell by the title, the EP is called Beyond Undeniable Entropy, and I'm going to go and show it to you right now since I have it on physical copy. There it is. Bugs and creepy skull guy and all that. This is something, this whole little mini discography review thing, the reason why I'm doing this is to hopefully expose anyone who watches this series of videos to this band, because they're extremely underknown. They only have like 300 likes on Facebook, and they've been around since like 2004, which is like when the debut Winter Sun record came out, so it's like... But anyway, yeah, anytime there's a new release from a band that I feel like really it needs more attention, I'm going to do a whole discography review for them, like, of what they've released so far. And that's what I'm doing here. So let's go ahead and start this off. I'm not really going to do a track-by-track review since this is an older release, but I'm just going to go ahead and talk about the album, or EP in this case, in general. How to describe this EP? Raw and ballistic and chaotic as fuck. If you are a fan of any sort of mathcore or just like spastic polyrhythm metal, just all over the place, like grindcore too, if you're really into the noisy kind of end of that spectrum of metal, then this is definitely going to be something for you, because Hybrid sound are basically rooted in that whole extreme metal thing that I was talking about in my last video. They're very based solely in heaviness, rhythmic spasticness, and just sounding loud and fucking aggressive and brutal as possible. The songs on here are among some of the most spastic metal songs I've ever heard in my life. Songs like Insomnia and Growing Misanthropy on the later half of the album just have these at least the first time you hear them, and even on subsequent listens, because some of these are just so crazy and all over the place that they're impossible to memorize. But songs like Insomnia and Growing Misanthropy just have these crazy, constantly changing grooves and like unpredictable as hell time signatures, and as a result of that, you will be like headbanging so hard and so offbeat that you just won't know what the fuck you're doing. You will lose your shit to this stuff. Although at the same time, the sort of constantly changing and using odd time signatures on this makes it really hard music to sort of be locked in with and stuff like that. But Chus, this band's drummer, is incredible at what he does. He manages to stay on beat pretty much all the time and just keep the whole band as cohesive as possible amidst all this ridiculously hard music to play. But at the same time, I feel like since this band's first release, they haven't quite gotten their playing as tight as they would on their release after this, their full length, The Eighth Plague. However, this is still, for what it is, like incredibly impressive stuff. And songs like Sleep of the Defeated and Sunburnt, which are tracks 2 and 3, would actually appear on The Eighth Plague as part of the whole concept, the lyrical concept of that record, because they fit to it. But it's actually cool to hear some of those songs from that record on this record as well, because they're basically the same songs, but there's a couple little things that are different. The raw production, for example, on this album as opposed to The Eighth Plague, it's got a really, really just fucking abrasive sounding kind of low budget production here, which even like Chus commented to me saying it's kind of too raw almost, and I'm like, it doesn't honestly bother me that much. This isn't too raw. It's raw enough so that it suits the music going on and just the absolute chaos. But it even benefits the sound in certain parts of some songs, like the tapping riff that's close to the beginning of Sleep of the Defeated sounds even more fucked up and just weird and atonal sounding than it does on the full length, The Eighth Plague. But that might partially be because the guitars were a bit out of tune, but it's one of those two. But also, this album, or this EP rather, I'm sorry, will have a lot of samples, like from quotes from movies and stuff that are thrown in. Like there's one at the end of Insomnium and one at the beginning of Sunburn, and it's just like they're taken from really dark context, and it really suits to start off and end some of these songs well. And speaking of starting off and ending, I haven't really talked about the beginner and closer songs of this album, which are EP. I'm so used to reviewing albums. In any case, this EP, there we go, got it right, starts off with Ave Phoenix, and it's a great song, but it's definitely not one of Hybrid's best, but the groove that it gets in the beginning, the after these like really fucked up sounding industrial sounds just let you know that shit's about to go down and that you're gonna headbang through this whole thing. And then the closing song, Throne of the Necronaut, is probably Hybrid's weakest song out of the 12 they've released so far. Well, 13 counting the single from the new album. But it's a really slow, kind of doomy song, and Hybrid so far what they like to do is they like to end their releases with a really slow, doomy song. And I actually heard this after the Doom song that ends the full length, the album, and compared to that, this just felt really underwhelming. So it drags the record down a little bit. It doesn't end on quite as high a high note as the meat of it is filled with. But at the same time, this thing is just amazing to me. It's incredibly raw, incredibly ridiculously brutal, and I could even say this just in general is one of the absolute most technical EPs I've ever heard in my life. Definite 9 out of 10. If you're interested, go ahead and pick up a copy. I think they actually, no, wait. I don't know if they have any physical copies left, but yeah, because I think I got one of the last ones. But I don't know, just if you want a copy, if this sounds interesting to you, contact the band on Facebook or something, I guess. Anyway, I'll be back for my review of the Eighth Plague and then eventually the new one, which I'm super psyched for. But yeah.